Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new NVIDIA Daily Update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over NVIDIA. Let's talk about what is happening to NVIDIA, what we can expect moving forward, and all that good stuff. If you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor, but if you enjoy my technical analysis, thoughts on the charts, well, I do share my thoughts with our members every single day the market is open. Definitely check that out. That link is down below. For the $3 a month, the first tier, you get access to the Tesla tier, constant Tesla updates, chart analysis, different time frames, options flow, as the market is open and trading through the trading day itself. $5 it adds NVIDIA to that, $7 adds non-NVIDIA, non-Tesla stocks to the list. And over the weekend, I do chart requests with members on Discord. But jumping into it, NVIDIA with a nice day of about 1% on the day, you know, where our market is fairly flat. Yeah, not too shabby, right? Not too shabby. So let's zoom in on this a little bit here and let's take a look as to what's happening. So yesterday we had that nice pullback right into this massive support zone, which of course is holding pretty nicely from before, right? Which was old resistance, of course. And then we're so far getting a beautiful bounce from that. Now, what does NVIDIA need to do to continue higher, right? It's looking pretty good so far. Again, as long as NVIDIA pretty much holds 157 to 158, yeah, I think it's actually looking still pretty solid as long as we don't get at least like 1 hour candle closures underneath that range. So that's what I'll be looking for moving forward, right? That to me equals bullish as long as it continues to maintain above those levels. Now, going to the daily chart, right? Like I said many times over, NVIDIA, you know, moving kind of slow, but nonetheless still looking pretty strong, and a move to the upside over here closer to, I would say about, you know, mid 160s roughly, you know, 165, give or take $1 or $2, somewhere around 165 is still the target to the upside. We're still above the 9 exponential moving average. You know, MACD is still bullish, stochastic is still bullish. Like everything is still bullish on the stock. The stock is still looking, you know, overall pretty damn solid, and I see no real cause of concern just yet on the stock. So naturally speaking, I continue remaining overall net bullish on the stock, right? So that's kind of the simplest analysis I can think of. Now, if NVIDIA makes its way up here, I want to make something very clear. If NVIDIA does maybe, you know, let's say sometime this week even, gets a nice push up, it's a beautiful percent day where it moves up, let's say from here to about the mid 160s, you know, a nice 3 to 4% day, but the volume still ends up being pretty subpar. You can kind of see the volume here is, you know, a little bit lower than average, right? And if that happens while we move that up to 165, then I'll be even further convinced that this is just going to be a massive bull trap, and we most likely, we most likely will get a rejection from here and then make our way back down closer to maybe even the bottom end of this channel, depending on how long and how quick it happens, which could easily bring the NVIDIA back to 150 or the high 140s. But as of right now, that's kind of my main analysis. I mean, it's going to be probably a pretty quick video, mainly because the stock, just to be completely honest, overall isn't doing a whole lot. So there's not that much new to say because it is just slowly like a snail, but nonetheless following the plan, right? The plan is very, very simple. So yeah, I mean, that's just kind of how I see it right now, guys. I mean, 165-ish is still the target. I see no reason for that not to be the target still. And that's the way I'll be continuing to look at it, especially as long as NVIDIA pretty much maintains above 157, which at this point, even the 9 exponential moving average will be pretty much at 157 as well very, very soon. So it'll be a double support around that area. 157 will become very, very important. Above that, yeah, we continue looking for this target. Below 157, however, you know, we can get an earlier, quicker, faster correction back down, at the very least about 153/2. Below that, about 148.9, and below that, the bottom end of the channel, which will be closer to about the mid 140s, 145 roughly. Those are my 3 levels to the downside, and you have my level to the upside. You know what levels to watch for. That, you know, if they break, of course, we most likely see a move to the downside for once. And that's pretty much it. I mean, it's just a very, very simple stock right now. There's just not that much to say. It is moving pretty damn slowly. So there's, compared to Tesla, especially gapping up and down like a maniac lately. Yeah, it's moving pretty slowly. So there's not, you know, much new to say, to be completely honest with you. The weekly is still looking pretty good. You know, definitely a little bit on the more extended side on the weekly. So if we do push up to 165, you know, I do expect a, you know, most likely getting a rejection around there into a move back to the downside in the bottom end of the channel, which would look something like this on the weekly. Get a nice retest of this zone that was a massive area of resistance in the past. And as long as NVIDIA overall holds about 145 on any potential retracement, worst case scenario, I think it's very bullish. Again, below that range and pretty much below 140/142, that's where I think it's probably losing a lot of steam, and we can see a deeper correction, most likely back down. Honestly, maybe even 120 worst case scenario, probably closer to 130 though as the base case scenario, on a loss of pretty much 140 to 142. And that's pretty much that simple. I mean, there's really not that much more to say. Overall, yeah, the stock is bullish though. Overall, you know, I see no actual reason for concern. I think the stock is very, very bullish. Any pullbacks we get back down to 145, if of course we get that eventually, I would still view as overall to be pretty bullish, naturally speaking. And yeah, I mean, not much more to say. Let's take a quick look at options flow. Let's see what's happening on the options side of things, pretty mixed. I mean, the bulls are definitely dominating over the bears, no question about that. But towards the end of the day, you can see we had some nice and interesting flow, right? We had a 3.2 million put all the way down here for 160 strike for July 18th. So that's pretty much next week. But on the flip side, for pretty much a month out, we have a 2.9 million call, 160 strike. So, maybe the two are intertwined. Maybe, it's some level of a strangle potentially. I mean, again, you don't really know the full story behind the options flow. So take that for what it's worth. But two somewhat contrasting orders over here. So wouldn't even make sense for it to be a strangle. Would it not the same strike in that kind of scenario? So I'm not even sure, honestly, what this is. Who the hell knows? Maybe it's two different orders entirely from two different people. Who knows? But the point is the fact that worth mentioning these two ones that are kind of stood out today, but I wouldn't put too much weight onto either one of them, especially when they're kind of contradicting each other with very similar flow in terms of premium, sorry. So I would look mainly at the chart, and the chart is suggesting, well, kind of what I just said earlier. So follow the levels, let the levels decide for you. And from there, kind of let it do its thing, in my opinion. But yeah, all in all, thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. Peace.